Hey, welcome back to the What If universe. I'm Drew here bringing something in. For this one, we got a very highly requested guest for this one. And be sure to stay till the end because I'm going to announce the next guest. But I'll just have my guest here just introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Anime Sage or Philly on Discord, and it's nice to meet you all. How are you? And I'm pretty glad to be doing an interview right now. So yeah, how's everyone doing? How are you doing, Drew? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. To be straight up with people, this is going to be fairly similar to the Dragon Star interview where things were a lot more casual than normal. So
Yeah.
just expect goofs and what not more for this versus my other stuff. So I guess we're gonna start off with talking about what was like making your first what if.
Let's see. In the process of making that first what if, I didn't script. Well, actually, yeah, I did not script. It was a very short video at the time, but it was a pretty fun concept to do, and honestly, I was pretty happy with it. Um, it was my first video ever on the channel. It was like, what if Deku had what release, I believe, and it was a pretty fun experience to create it.
And I know a lot of people probably wondering what led to your first Naruto what if that you did.
Let's see. At the time, I had always been thinking about like ideas of like what Naruto would have to create because I was very well versed into Naruto at that point, and I ended up choosing when Kakashi adopted Naruto because I liked the concept of Kakashi adopting Naruto. There's also at the time a series that I saw that it was like I was like there's only like one other person who made a series like that, and I was thinking to myself I could do better than this, and I ended up creating the series, and I went from there.
That's understandable. So it was somewhat original, but you looked it up just to see, like, out of curiosity, I guess.
Yeah, it was like something I've been wondering like what I should create, and it just popped into my mind. And it's just like I looked it up, and there's like only like one other person at the time who made it, and I just like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. I could probably do better.
What made you choose to shift towards like what if content?
Let's see. At the time, I had created a channel called Eagle Sniper, which is now my Gmail address, or Gmail email address. And it was originally a sports slash gaming channel, and I ended up shifting that content over to what if content because I had grown out of making content for that channel at that point. So I decided to do a little bit of a rebrand, and I ended up seeing a bunch of creators at the time like Kid Zeus and Clockwork Highlander make what if style content, and I thought to myself, yeah, I like this. This is kind of my thing, and I decided to like start creating stories. So that's kind of what led me to the what if market. I had like watched a bunch of like Clockwork Highlinder's content in my senior year of high school, and I had like decided at that point, yeah, you know what? If I like the content so much, why not make it on my own? And I did it. So, yeah.
That's understandable. So, when you started doing what ifs and whatnot, how would you tackle writer's block over time?
Let's see. So how I had first like tackled it at that point was like maybe like move on to a different series to kind of like refresh my mind a little bit and then move on to it later. And then like or just like do something else entirely, like maybe make some supplementary content. I didn't really always in my career like struggle with like writer's block, but when it did appear, I kind of like just like did those types of steps to like kind of overcome it.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
I guess trying to remember. Oh yeah, I did want to ask how your first collab experience was, because a lot of people think that you and me were the first people to do it, but actually, Kid Zeus actually predates me a bit, actually, by
Yeah.
a little bit.
So It was a experience for a collaboration. I think it was like What If Naruto Had Sunshine, I think.
Yeah, it was that one.
Yes. I ended up like making the first part. I forgot if Kidzus ever uploaded the second part, but I just never got back to that series after that. But in terms of like a collaboration, stuff like that, it was a pretty fun experience to do. But then like I feel like the real first true collab that I ever like, went for was like with you, obviously. And it was like what if Deku was trained by Alexander Anderson, because we both had gotten into Hellsing Ultimate, and obviously that anime is still probably in my top 5 today. And then we like created that series, and it was a fun series. It was full with like a lot of hijinks, a lot of jokes, and it was like the funnest thing I've ever worked on.
Well, I think it was the earliest version to what my current content style is.
Yes.
Because it basically evolved from that. From that point. Because originally I tried to do more serious, straightforward stuff, but I feel like everybody's kind of doing that, so I kind of shifted over time. And I would say that would be the catalyst to why even my own content's different from today.
Yeah. So it's just the evolution of content that happens at times. Next question? Or do you have anything else?
You see, I told you people, we're kind of off of it today for sure. I did want to ask, what did you learn from collaborating with other people?
It's good to like have like people to like do stuff with, and it's fun to like talk with people and like make content with them. I feel like the only thing that you also have to be very careful of in collaboration is that you should probably always make sure that the person beside you is kind of reliable. Sometimes I'm not always the most reliable, and sometimes I've worked with, at times I work with, people that, have their own stuff going on and stuff like that. We don't properly plan out things. It's like the thing you always have to make sure in like collaboration is that you should probably like make sure you plan stuff out properly and or something like that, and then get content out and then go from there. It's just how it goes.
What do you think made What If scenarios become more story-based than originally them being kind of more like explanation type of videos?
Mostly probably something out of my content slightly, but also from guys like Ronan, Tyler, and guys like that at the time, because we always like made like more like I think especially, or now at the time Anime X. So at the time we were like making a lot of like more story-based content, and I feel like X was the guy who kind of more so popularized that, but I was kind of doing it at that time as well. I believe Ty was doing it at the time as well, and even like Mast, who has kind of shifted his content to manga content. I think that like we were trying to like make our stuff at least interesting and engaging, and make it a lot more story-based from that point on, because while it's good to like look at it like stuff like an explanation at that point, in terms of like the explanation stuff like that, you probably want to have something that's more engaging, and I think that's why there was a shift to like story-based content, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to say that out of like arrogance. I'm just saying that that's what I kind of personally experienced or like saw at that point. In terms of the Naruto community, I don't know what happened with Dragon Ball.
No, that's fine, because the Naruto What If space is a lot different from what people think it is compared to Dragon Ball.
Yes.
Well, technically, they're both oversaturated. Quality-wise, Naruto still has a bit to get up there, in my opinion, from what I've observed, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an agreement we can both have on that topic.
I can probably at most name like 5 creators that do like relatively high quality stuff. Everyone else is relatively, they either do like gameplay, still do a thumbnail style where they slap a thumbnail and just record. It's really generic, and I think part of it to blame is those text-to-speech fanfics channels. Like, we know about those.
Oh god,
they're just garbage.
I have never ever been more like annoyed at something, because I hate like I personally hate it when someone just like slaps a thumbnail for something and just like goes with it and just like reads a fanfic from text to speech. You can't even like use your own voice. I also even hate it when it's just a thumbnail slapped over it. Why can't you just like edit the characters inside? I just don't get it. Like it was like weird because like people were coming to me when I was like doing stuff when I'm doing stuff like with my fanfics like Legacy, for example, and people are like, holy crap, you're like the best, you actually put in the characters and stuff, and I appreciate that. And I'm thinking to myself, why isn't anyone else doing this? Why am I the only one doing this?
Yeah, it's very revolutionary that someone actually edits a fanfiction video, which is really funny to think about.
It's crazy to me too, because like I thought
it's not even that fancy. You literally put the character on screen when they need to be. That's kind of it. Like
that's like the upper echelon.
That's the bare minimum you need.
It's like, and I'm like thinking to myself, holy crap, is my community that down bad? Oh my god. I'm like thinking, is that what we're doing? Like, are we really like doing text to speech now? Are we really just like slapping a thumbnail over that shit? Like, I'm not like shout, like, you know what? Get your bag, I guess. But like, I'm not really. That's just like, wow.
I mean, my thing is, I give the pass to some people, like Plus Ultran, for example. I believe he's doing better left unsaid. I think he's still doing that one. But what he does, he incorporates like voice acting and music and other stuff. So he kind of tries to put something there for people, make it more like an audiobook experience, which I think is more better in what we currently have these text-to-speech channels, which are basically soulless, have like no life to them.
Man, there's just like there's no soul. It's just there's like nothing there. It's like Obito, like there's nothing here. There's nothing in my heart. There's nothing there.
What's something you want your fans to take back from watching like your videos?
I want them to at least be entertained enough. And maybe in any case, if I'm ever doing something a little bit more informative, I would like to at least inform them. At the end of the day, my only thing I want to do is just like entertain people. That's all I want.
I mean, to be fair, with the content shift we have, I think we have a decent middle ground where we're currently at.
Yeah. Because, and like, I feel like that, and it's just like that some people can like go out of their way to like, you know, educate, inform, or entertain, like, or go all these like different routes. I just like entertain people. That's all I want to do. Someone wants to like have an escape. If someone wants to find their escape for me, that's their prerogative. If someone wants to be like, or someone wants to like, you know, watch my shit because they like it, that's fine. That's all that. If someone comes out of my videos and they're entertained, I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job.
What do you think happened that made What Ifs become their own genre compared to like traditional like AniTube?
I feel like it's its own genre because like a lot of the time, first off, a lot of people just want to see a lot of what ifs if you're like a what if channel because it's like what interests people. And at the end of the day, but I think that and the second thing is that a lot of the time what ifs are more so just like relevant to like the fanfic side of things. So like, and I remember when like Craig was like talking to about this, where like we're kind of like more into like this shift into like the fanfic side versus like even like traditional AniTubers. We're like, it's more so like we are in this like one space that's even in like a genre outside of AniTube that people just like come to enjoy us because we kind of are like offering something a little bit more different compared to traditional AniTube, but still in AniTube. It's just like, you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it's kind of back and forth here. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I think with what, like, so we currently got, I think we have a decent balance, like, with the theory content. A lot of people wondered why we got into that, but part of that was Yashi's master plan was part of that.
Oh, man.
Theory. This is just mad.
It was like, bro, the thing I like about Fury videos is that one, it's not really like something it's hard to script or even something I have to script at all because like a lot of my times I'm like reacting to a Fury and just giving my thoughts on something. But
it's like
the other
a review. Like,
yeah, exactly. exactly. And I can like either like agree with it or debunk it based off of my knowledge of Naruto. I mean, I'm doing my research on this type of stuff, so it's not like I'm not putting any work into it. But I always like I'm just basing it off of my own knowledge. But the thing is that makes it funny is that the thing about Fury videos is that it's just the funniest thing ever. Because some of the stuff is just like so crack, like Hiyashi's master plan, or the Kaminari Fury that we did, where there was like from 4chan out of all things, or
well,
like
the Hiyashi one was also from 4chan.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think the only one that came close to it would be this Tengu theory, because it kind of works until you realize that aliens exist.
I feel like one of the problems that a lot of people like talked about in the comments of that video were probably like, well, Naruto doesn't really go into like the supernatural, but like then you go into thinking about it. But now when you look at that theory, even like today, it's just like it can't even be a thing because aliens exist, and Naruto again just does not really delve into like a lot of supernatural concepts.
Well, I disagree, because if we didn't have the context of aliens, you technically have essentially demons. In a sense, if that makes sense, because that's what the tail beasts were.
They're called demons, obviously. They're
also didn't have an origin for them properly either.
Yeah. Yes. Even I feel there's a lot to discuss with that Tengu Fury though. That Fury was wild. It was wild. But yeah. Anything else?
I feel like you're just rushing through your things without even time to.
I mean, like, I don't really have any like thoughts in my head about certain things, so I'm like thinking to myself, okay, I think the best thing to do is just like move on to the next thing because I'm out of thoughts.
What makes you have that drive to go from the next thing to another more recently? Because that used to not be how it used to be.
Like what? Like, could you rephrase that again?
Like, what made you, like, today be the type of person to try to go from one thing to the next thing? Because it used to not be like that, kind of. You kind of jumped around with stuff for a bit.
Okay, so probably around that time, I just, like, kept getting, like, bored of certain series and stuff like that I was creating. And that's something I will admit that I really kind of struggle with it at times. Now I'm a lot more focused now, but like during like earlier portions, I just like got really tired of stuff. But now I just like shift to like one series at a time, and I just try to finish something out. If I don't like if I finish it out, I'm good. Because at this point I was starting to like fall into like a similar trap that a lot of like other creators had gone into, which is like not finishing their series, and I felt like I had to change something about that. So yeah.
I would say about last year is when that shift kind of happened.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that can be a very frustrating to like audience members. So that wasn't like something I should have been doing, but you know, it's whatever. I can't. It's hindsight. I'm like thinking back to like stuff that happened a year ago, and like, it's something that I obviously like, you know, kind of wish I didn't do, but you know, what happened. You can't like change the past.
Well, there's just a lot of things that happen. You just try and move on and recognize your mistakes the best you can.
Yeah, and then you become a better person over time. That's the only thing you can do.
Well, I think the other thing is that I started basically last year, but not fully, was the other thing.
Yes, you did.
Because I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I know even you were hesitant, even making the jump, and then we kind of did. And kind of where we're at now at this point, I would say. Because I would say at least half the stuff, well, getting close there has been edited by me in some fashion, technically.
Yeah.
At least I don't know. I'm not 100% about that. One thing I did want to ask is, do you plan to do Naruto What Ifs based on the movies?
That would be interesting to look at. Rainbow Chakra is a thing in the Naruto movies that I would like to see if it was canon, what would happen if it was like more fleshed out versus like being used in for like one like for 1 millisecond in the movie where Naruto just like whoops the villain at the end.
Well, it's such a confusing thing because there's people in the comments saying, "Oh, I think it's a visual thing," like I brought up, but at the same time, the characters recognize it as Rainbow Chakra, not that it looks like it.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I think I would like to maybe define that at some point if I ever try to do a series based off the movies. That will require making the movie canon, obviously, but, you know, I think I could, like, there were issues with that Land of Snow movie that I could fix a little bit, considering the fact that it does have Sasuke on the team, and maybe I could, like, have it be after Land of Waves. I'm not sure, but that would probably, like, the early... But then again, the problem is Naruto knows Rasengan, so there would have to be a lot of adjustments that would need to be made at that point, so I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Well, to be fair, like, with the Renegon series I'm writing for, the way I got around it is that there was a delay for the Chunin exams because of Zabuza escaping, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that's gonna be released down the line because that's actually in part 3.
Nice. Oh yeah. Be prepared. We got that. We're getting that ready to go. Excuse me.
I did want to ask: should content creators use the light novel material for their what ifs as well? Did want to ask about that.
Okay, so I am not going to question whether or not someone should use something from a Naruto content. If they want to do that and add that to their story, that's fine. But the thing is that I think that for Naruto creators, the light novel content can be a bit of a chore to go through because here's the thing: this is not a manga. This is a light novel, and obviously, I kind of like reading novels. I have read 0 light novels, and I've got a little bit of Mushoku Tensei. But the thing is that light novels is basically not like manga comics because you're reading text. There's no pictures except like some illustrations in the pages, just text. That's all you get. With manga, it's a lot more engaging for like the average person because you're seeing pictures and stuff like that, and sometimes people just don't want to read a regular old book. Some people just don't want to read it.
The main reason I bring it up is that in Shippuden, they actually covered a lot of the light novel content.
They did. Specifically towards the end with Konoha Hiden, I believe, which was Naruto and Hana's wedding. There was also Sasuke Shinden, which was the origin of the Ketsurigan, and the third one, I believe there was also another one that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, there's the last light novel that was used for the Naruto movies. I think the only one that has been fully animated is Shikamaru Shinden, I believe. Which I wish could be animated, but you know, and Naruto Explained has talked about that being anime, but that has not been anime yet, so that we'll have to see what happens with that.
I assume maybe if Boruto goes on hiatus and fans push it enough, that is possible.
Yeah,
but that's the only best odds I can think of happening.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I did want to ask some questions that your Discord asked, so I'm gonna get to them here, but I do want to remind people if I'm interviewing someone, typically we either do a Discord ping, community tab post, or something so you can ask your questions, so just want to remind people about that. But to start things off, Invisible asked, do you enjoy YouTube after doing it so long, and do you think it feels like a chore or not?
So, for the longest time, I have always viewed YouTube as something I wanted to create into a job. One where I would, like, get my money and then just, like, you know, go through the process. However, as someone who has been doing YouTube for a long time, I enjoy it. The thing is that I feel like the one thing that you have to do when it comes to your job is that you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy what you're doing, that's great. That's awesome. If you do not enjoy what you're doing, I feel like you should reconsider like the job that you're working at, unless it is impossible for you to leave. The thing is that a lot of the time YouTube is kind of like really it's like back and forth with a lot of his policy changes. The newest ones that they've introduced are really, really good. Sometimes they kind of regress, sometimes they go back and forth, but I will say that for the longest time, I still love doing YouTube. I love it. I love doing YouTube. I still love it to this day. Even after 3 years of doing YouTube, I still love it.
All right, the next person's from Doge the Grappler. He asks, could you ask him if he puts the toilet paper over or under the roll?
I fold it up.
Okay, but on a serious note, he asked, what is your favorite what if-er, I guess?
Okay, what if-er or what if?
What if-er, so I guess what if YouTuber, I guess is better context.
Yeah. So, okay. Obviously, someone that I always like, you know, that's a tough one.
I mean, you don't have to say me if you don't have to. I already know our friendship. Well, it doesn't matter if you say me or not.
I mean, I don't want to come across as like, you know, a little bit biased or whatever. So like, I think Drew is awesome and everything like that. I think my favorite in terms of Naruto What Ifs is probably Naruto Explained, because he has some decent one shots and his stuff is pretty unique. But the other one, probably in terms of who I want to be more like, is probably Karfu. Because I think he does a lot of good work. In more of the Dragon Ball side, but like that's the guy I would like to reach.
Yeah, I know. When editing for people ask me, can you do the level that Kartu does? And I said, you're gonna have to pay me way more, because I tried to explain in detail all the different editing Kartu does, because people don't understand. He does his stuff like once a month, so he puts a ton of time per each video. Like, realistically, like for your channel, if we did that, we would have to cut back so much that we would just lose so many views, in all honesty, because we would have to cut back and basically gamble, which is something that, like we talked about, we considered it, like we have a big project we want to do, but it's something more down the line at this point.
Yes, we did talk about that, and I feel like it's something that, again, I would like to at some point reach where Karfu is, but I am not at that point where I can just like do that, and obviously making a shift like that is just not favorable for me. So I've just, you know, not gonna do it at this point. But there are projects I want to work on that could be really good in the future.
Let's see, Crown Fiend asked, what made you choose What If content? I think you already answered that. The other thing he asked was, when did you decide to go with YouTube full time?
That was probably from the moment I started, because I was very confident I can make this into a job.
Yeah, I agree, because back when we talked, you said you basically took a gap year during the pandemic, obviously, because everything was screwed over, and you just happened to get lucky, technically, by that aspect. Yes.
I feel like the big thing that people just like don't understand is that like I took one of those gambles because like at that point I took a gap year after like my senior year because I was not in a good position at that point. And the thing that I wanted to be very determined at was like trying to see what I could do. If YouTube worked out, I would and I wanted to make it work out, I would be pretty happy with I would be pretty happy with myself. If not, I was thinking to myself, well, I guess I'll go to college and try to see if I can find what I love to do there. It just so happened that I had a lot of success on YouTube, and I got lucky, but this is something I plan to do full time from the very start.
I only bring up luck because there's a lot of other content creators who think they have similar determination as yourself, but that is something that people have to consider. And also, the grind set to try to improve over time is also noteworthy that people don't think about.
Yeah, because people don't, because when you don't really like try to evolve over time, you can kind of get a little bit stale, unfortunately, and you have to like try to find ways to evolve constantly. And that's something that I've learned over time, and that's something that I've also, and I think a lot of other creators have also learned over time. But at the end of the day, making content is something that I think is a very big priority, because you should at least just try to upload. I know a lot of people who just like don't start, and they just like, you know, are like, well, I'm more nervous about this, nervous about that, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, just start and see where you can improve. Just go from there. You don't have to like, just start. That's just something I always advise people on that front as well.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people are nervous, like they have to keep everything. In theory, you don't have to, but the goal is to improve yourself after each video, hopefully, and most people do.
Yeah, but like people like don't understand. Like, well, do you think people like fucking I know this is like in a different space, but like guys like Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, every like YouTuber that people like talk about in like the mainstream started out with like making like these high quality videos or whatever, or the content they're making now. No, they just said fuck it, I'm uploading.
Well, yeah, because even though some people try and bring up, oh, they think Mr. Beast was a plant. The thing is with Mr. Beast, he did other gaming commentary type of content for a couple of years before he even started what he's doing now.
Yeah, he did. He was a Pokemon YouTuber too. He played Showdown.
Like, he's done so much stuff to even get to that point. It's like, it's not a fair argument. Like, you could say, sure, he had money by that point, but he was doing other stuff to learn. Let's see. Golden asked, what's your favorite chip brand and soda?
Chip brand. Okay, this is easy for me. One is Tostitos. Those are some pretty good chips. And soda brand is Pepsi. Diet Pepsi specifically is really good.
You mean like tortilla chips, Tostitos,
yes.
or okay?
Yes.
I would be a bit more specific because I know Tostitos makes a lot of different type of things. I think they're like a whole brand type deal. Oh yeah, the other thing he asked was, what is your favorite What If series you have made so far?
Okay, this is a bit different. Favorite What If series is probably... It's a tie between my original Naruto What If baby, the first one I procreated, the first one that the first one I could call my son, what I could call after Naruto, and the other one is half Uchiha, half Senju, which was not only the first video that kind of blew up for me a little bit, but the other reason is because it was my first harem series. It was something that no one was doing. I thought to myself, you know what? Why not?
I think, for me, I guess for what I like right now is what if Sasuke got the Rinnegan? Because so many people were thrown off from the first episode until they realized by part 2 what the story is supposed to be about.
It's a really fun story. It's a really good comic story. I really like that series a lot, and I can't wait. I can't wait when part 3 releases. That's just gonna be insane.
Because it's supposed to be written as if you're supposed to say it, but the story writing is how I would do something. Is the thing.
And it's like it's a really, really fun experience. Too much squat, dance.
Jill asked, what type of milk do you like?
Milk. Okay, so I am a big fan of... I've had a lot of different milk. I'm probably I liked almond milk for a little bit, but I'm more of a 2%, 1% fan, but I'll drink any milk. Just give me that milk on my mouth, and yeah.
I think they wanted me to say a question on purpose.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Cherry Skeleton asked you, what other hobbies and interests do you have besides YouTube?
Let's see. Video games, watching anime, reading. Let's see. Another hobby is, trying to learn different things. Other is writing as well, like not just regular this, but also fanfics. And then on top of that, I also probably recently I tried to after my brother passed away, I thought about getting into coding back into coding for a little bit, so I try to like take a couple web design courses. Haven't finished that yet, but you know, I haven't finished that fully yet, but yeah, I just want to. I'm a bit of a heavy hobby type person. You probably know that from experience. But I also oh yeah, I also listen to music a lot. Specifically like 2000s punk rock.
We're forgetting about the big one though.
Oh yeah, jacking off. I forgot about that one.
I was gonna say sports, but sure, that I'll count that.
Oh yeah, sports as well. That's the big one. I am the biggest sports nerd out there. There are a lot of like specifically for football, basketball, baseball, and a little bit of hockey. But for those of you who don't know, I am an Eagles fan. I'm also a Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers fan. I also grew up in the Baltimore, DC area, so I also am a Ravens and Orioles fan. Never a fan of DC teams. There's not enough for there's no way I'm ever rooting for a Washington team, especially a Dan Snyder-led Washington team. So that's something to say for. That's something I gotta put out there as well. And also, I have to be very specific here. I also really hate the Cowboys. I hate Giants. I hate New York in general and Jersey. I mean, those states suck so much. They're all ass. But the teams themselves are also terrible. Not really from a performance standpoint, but because I hate them. The Giants specifically, the Yankees, the Mets. Oh my God. I'm also a Penn State fan. I hate Ohio State. I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan State so much. Bro, I hate Pitt so much. Everyone knows about the Pitt-Penn State rivalry. Bro, that shit's real and alive to this day. Oh yeah, let's see. I make fun of Miami a lot because we beat them back in '86. I make fun of like and that's probably about it for like shit I hate. Oh no, I hate Boston teams. There's the Celtics, the Bruins, the Red Sox. And also the Patriots. I hate everything Boston. That Philly Boston rivalry is a real thing.
I see. That concludes the Discord questions, but I ended up getting one from my community tab. Someone by the username Manga Merchant asked, "Who's the strongest anime character you could beat in a fight?"
Let's see. Probably Mob, because even though he has psychic powers, he doesn't want to use them that much. But in all seriousness, I couldn't beat up Mob, but I would definitely beat up Senpai, and I would definitely beat up Kazuya. In terms of the strongest I could beat, yeah, I'd probably beat the shit out of Kazuya. I think that's probably Kazuya's like very much human level, and I could beat the shit out of him. People would probably say, why not say like Natsuki Subaru since you're a ReZero fan? Natsuki Subaru has had like scaling compared to like Bruce Lee. Like he's that fucking strong. I'm not dealing with him. He's kicked up a table.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What's a good point do you think content creators should expand, like adding people to their team and getting them like involved with their content?
Oh, okay, this is a good question. So, if you want to like, first off, you got to reach out to these people. Either you have like a manager who does it, or yourself. It's just like depends on what you're really good at. The second thing you gotta do is like you gotta like make sure that you understand their terms, you're fair to them, and you make sure that at the end of the day they are properly compensated to what their wishes are. So yeah, I think that's something that needs to be self-explanatory. I specifically make sure that you are paid well every month. We discuss it, and you get what you ask for. And I also compensate people who do my thumbnails, and also people who've done edits for me, and also a lot of other things as well. So yeah, it's something that you have to make sure that people are properly compensated at the end of the day, though.
I will say it's never a bad idea to ask for help if you think you need it. But I will say that you should be transparent with people, like how much they are willing to help you and how much that you want to give in for that, because there's a lot of people who get sucked into like really raw deals with other channels because they didn't value themselves ahead of time, or they were like cheated in. It's like, oh, we'll give you like a percentage of like ad revenue, even though they don't let you see the analytics. Like, that's a very big problem. If someone offers you something like that, don't take that.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, do you want to tease any upcoming projects that we kind of have going on right now?
Oh boy, let's see. I'm gonna say that there are some MHA What Ifs in the works, especially with the anime coming out pretty soon. Will also say that we have also considered Bleach, but there's also some returns of a couple other Naruto series that I've been working on, and one of them involves a watch, and the other involves an old man. So, those are my hints that you are gonna get from those Naruto What Ifs. And in terms of other stuff,
well, we do have one big one we need to announce.
Oh yeah, the big one. Oh yeah. I also will say that I'm going to get into Dragon Ball What Ifs, and let's just say that I have a writer working with me on that one, and I will also say it's going to be a really unique series, despite it being a series, something that a lot of people have done. This one's done a lot differently compared to what other people have done with this character in Dragon Ball, and I think a lot of you are gonna like it.
Highly recommend people to check out Anime Sage's Patreon. We're planning to have a Meet the Team event next month with the thumbnail artist, the two writers, because technically we do have another writer, but they're more helping with like Naruto What Ifs, and they're not as often, obviously, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention them briefly here before we move from the next topic here. I did want to ask, do you have advice for people who feel like they're reaching that quitting point for making What If content? Because it seems like with Naruto specifically, there's a lot more compared to like Dragon Ball or other series, I feel like.
I think, in my opinion, that obviously I don't think you should really like give up. But for me, I'm just way too stubborn at certain points. I mean, like, I can always be a little bit stubborn when it comes to like creating content and stuff like that, or like other things. But my advice is like always like keep going, try to find your next muse, and try to like but if you need to step back from content like that, do it. It's not, you don't make sure that you get a proper break, and also make sure that you can get better, and maybe you can also find different muse in the future. I don't know. There's a lot of points where people reach a quitting point and they don't want to work on something. I think the best way to counter that is either properly pace yourself, or two, maybe just find a different muse and try to see if you can shift your content over. Maybe it's not impossible.
Oh yeah, someone who's talked with like AnimeX, who now goes by Broken Ronin and Masked Man. It's interesting learning their stories to why they left, and a lot of it comes down to passion. If you don't have passion with making What Ifs, it'll definitely show it people as soon as they realize it.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask, have you received criticism on a video and managed to improve from it?
Oh yeah, well, not really on a video, but it was like during my Discord. Like, I remember like people like criticizing me for like early on when I was like not scripting shit that end like my audio, and I like improved that right away, by buying like a snowball. Which, by the way, can I like say a funny story about the snowball mic when I upgraded my mic from the old pocket? Yeah, sure. So back in December, I had a perennial work but also no work relationship with Kohl's. So what that means is that I was an employee of Kohl's, but I also wasn't scheduled properly all the time. Specifically because the person who was doing the scheduling was a little bit incompetent to say the least. So I got to work at Kohl's for the first time in a while after my mom was putting her foot down saying, work at Kohl's, work. You gotta let him work. Especially since I had been getting letters from the Kohl's Corporation because I wasn't putting in hours. But that's not my fault if I'm not scheduled to work at all. So the thing is that I got that schedule done, right? And then I worked the hours that I was assigned. I think it was 4 or 5 hours. And then for I forgot how much a snowball cost. It was $30, I think, or something like that, or 50.
I think it's 50.
Yeah. So I used my last Kohl's paycheck on a blue snowball microphone. And that was the last time I worked at Kohl's again. That was the last time.
Yeah, it's really deep when people don't consider that.
That was, yeah. So I had been considered, the one thing that I had been hoping for was that I could work at, I was always at the back of my mind preparing for okay, if I have to go into work, I could probably just work on a video real quick. I could work on a video later after I'm done work and stuff like that or whatever. But the scheduling just never aligned for me at all. It just didn't happen. So then I finally get my fucking paycheck and I pay for the $50, however much I paid for that blue snowball microphone, and then I never got scheduled again. Never again. I was done. They I was probably most likely terminated after receiving another letter from the Kohl's Corporation about not working, and I literally am a little bit salty that I got terminated that way, but at the same time I probably could have done a little bit more of a better job with making my communications felt, but it is what it is. I wasn't necessarily, I kind of liked working at Kohl's, but at the same time I didn't like it. I mean, it's retail. That's how it goes. The only reason I worked there was because my mom worked there, so yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So, one thing I did want to ask is how important are platforms outside of YouTube to you?
Platforms outside. So Twitter, I use it a lot. Instagram is basically very boring. I'm non-existent in Discord. I like using that to communicate with people as well. So to me, I feel like it's good to have to use other platforms to interact with people and stuff like that, especially your fans if they happen to be on there. And if they come out with different things, I mean, is it that help come make me more money? I mean, why not?
Well, the thing is not always about money necessarily. There's communication and whatnot. For the longest time, you couldn't make any money on Twitter until they released the recent thing with super followers. Technically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that shit. That's
Twitter
crazy.
gave people a reason to stay after everyone was saying they were leaving. Technically.
Yeah.
And there's still people are leaving though, because it's that bad. It genuinely is.
Well, the thing with Twitter is that there's so many people who are saying hot takes and so much fucking vitriol to each other, and it's just and also there's been also some weird other shenanigans that Twitter has been involved with. It's just it's not good. It really isn't.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So my advice to people is that probably make sure that you clean up your timeline as much as possible with I would advise people to never look at politics ever on their Twitter timeline, because it is a fucking nightmare. It is a nightmare to go through, where you see people arguing and shit. It's just and all these long threads. It's just talking to VC, stop typing.
Well, to be fair, it's why I think Twitter's slightly getting better. They threw in the voice call thingy out. It's what is it called? Spaces? I think.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces. Yes.
I think the dumb thing though is that a lot of these features are on desktop. I would use Twitter at least more proactively, which maybe this is a good thing. Twitter sucks for desktop because I don't use it as often as I would.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing. Also, I think a good place that I think a lot of What If YouTubers can find good communication on is Fanfic. Is fanfic.net, Wattpad, or even Archive for Our Own, or AO3, sorry, Archive of Our Own. because like you could just like post your fucking fanfics on there or like what ifs onto there and just like see where for like people to like read for themselves, or you could like meet some other people there on there as well. It's pretty interesting thing to like think about.
What is the point where you think content creators? Actually, let me rephrase this a little better. So, should content creators allow their fans to dictate what they make?
Okay. This is a yes/no question. If the audience demands something, they can like always, and you think it's a good idea, then yes. If you don't think it's a good idea, but you see people in your audience demand it, I feel like no. I feel like you should always like stick to your gut on certain things. But if you want to do it, and if your fans want it, I think that's something where I think that's the line.
All right, because I think there's a line to draw. Because if you make the same thing too often, you don't draw in new people. Is one thing. So like, if you did like reading Legacy like all the way through, there would have been a point where people would potentially dropped off, essentially.
Yeah.
I think some people don't understand that. It's like, you kind of have to do new things to have new people watching, is the thing.
Yes.
Like, you can continue a What If for a long time, but at the same time, you have to have something different for new people.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, let's say someone's watching the channel, they weren't watching that particular What If. They want to watch theories or other stuff. It's like, they're out there. What do you think of the Naruto What If community? That section?
So, it's a decent community, honestly. I have at times had some negative experiences, like, you know, some of these experiences. So, like, I can make a couple of recaps here. So, like, one time I've had my profile pic stolen from someone, and it was used in their thumbnail. I'm not joking about that one. Another time, I had a thumbnail stolen completely, and I also have had a whole mess. And I've also even had art that was made for me taken as well. But I mean, like, so, and at certain points I've resolved each of these incidents. But it is pretty crazy that there have been times where I've had this kind of happen to me. But relatively, especially early on, I was pretty chill with a lot of people in Naruto What If community, and honestly, I still have, you know, some decent contact with certain people, and I think that it's a decent community. There's probably some things that could be improved, but it's not too bad.
What is your favorite non-What If video you made so far?
Ooh, it was an early video, which is how I would have done Naruto's time skip, I think. I have a soft spot for that one. But if we're looking at like non-What If, non-fanfic type related content, but in terms of What If exclusively, it probably has to be Legacy, which I am working on. Stay tuned for that. But Legacy for me, Legacy is a fanfic that I got read back in high school, and I saw someone. Okay, so like the funny part is that I knew someone who had been using this as titled "What if Naruto was Madara's grandson?" And they were like reading what the fanfic completely without us saying it was a fanfic, and that was one where, and we eventually had to confront this person about this. I'm keeping the person nameless, but then that gave me the idea. In addition, like Storm Videos doing a video about this, and thinking to myself, why not make this a thing? Why can't I could do this as well?
To be fair, you were doing it before them, actually, from looking back at the timeline.
You might be right, actually.
It wasn't that you took it from him, it was more that when you were making it, you're reading it, it's like, oh, this seems really similar to this person's video. And you basically read it, it's like he basically stole word for word the fanfic, basically.
Yes, yeah, that was the problem I had, but it did give me an idea there because like, it did have an idea pop into my head because because thinking to myself like, holy crap, I get to read I get to properly, if I like to properly title this and shit, just like title it Legacy, what I've been reading for like forever, and like, you know, go from there. I was like you know what, I was like, holy crap, I get to read a fanfic that I read back in high school and for content, and it's something I actually enjoyed, and like, what could go wrong? It's like the best experience. And it actually ended up doing pretty well.
I think the other issue I have with the person is that they genuinely didn't seem like they cared about it, more looking back on it. Like, they basically are just reading it, not putting like emotion towards it, you know?
Yeah, that's unfortunately something you see with a lot of like fanfic creators or writers or whatever, or people who like make that type of stuff. I mean, fanfic content nowadays is a little bit soulless. There's not like emotion. There's not passion. You need to have passion for stuff you're doing. And like we were like talking about this earlier, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like I just wish people put more effort into that type of content. It kind of bothers me a little bit, but I can't. I'm not gonna like go to like someone's house and like say you gotta read this fanfic properly or some bullshit like that, or like drag them by the ear like I'm a fucking 80-year-old grandma and say like, no, Sonny, you gotta do it like this. I can't. Like, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm going to make my opinion on that known.
Let's see. I was gonna ask how important video editing is, but I don't know why I'm asking this, because I'm technically at majority of your stuff at this point, so...
And we've also talked about, like, how we hate people who don't edit and shit.
I think that gives a good emphasis how much we care about it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, the next question I was gonna ask is, like, what do you want to do in the future to improve yourself with making content?
One, obviously properly schedule myself, which I have been doing better at recently. Two, also make sure that always make sure I put a lot of my best effort into my videos, because I know a lot of people who at times just get like bored, tired, maybe like, and it kind of shows up in their content. I always want to make sure I have my passion there. I always want to make sure I have it here in my heart, And then like the third thing I always want to make sure that I always do is that I'm always like making sure that I don't make any errors, because like or like limit as much errors as possible, because it always bothers me that I get something wrong in something, is like, and because then I have to like either make a correction or something like that, and it's just like, it's so annoying. It's like so fucking annoying.
Is there anything you want to tell my audience before we end off here?
Yes, this man is the greatest. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I think one thing that you always have to like make sure in life is that, you know, don't just like go for it. You also have to make sure you also work hard. You always got to make sure that you try to make sure that you can be the best person you can be. And that's always my advice to anyone who wants to do anything, not just like YouTube, but just like anything in life, because you never know when you can get your opportunity and you didn't put enough effort into it and you ended up blowing the opportunity. But yeah, that's probably all I have to say.
I did want to bring up real quick to my audience here. The next guest is going to be Professor Chimp. You might know him for our collaboration series we're doing with Martians and Namekians switching places, and we have a whole segment for talking about the first Arkan, so we're going to talk about those, and who knows, maybe it'll be a more consistent thing if people want that. But anyways, this has been Anime Sage. Hope y'all enjoyed. And always remember, in What If Universe, there are endless possibilities.
And endless nutting.
Damn it, Sage.
Oh my god, I regret nothing.
Hello, everyone. Uncle Joker here. Make sure to subscribe to the society if you want to see more content, and use those opposable thumbs of yours to rate the video. If you want to be notified whenever I make a joke, hit that bell, because, you know, YouTube isn't enough of a joke as it is. Until next time, toodaloo!